Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric, continuing the series Saturday Morning Cartoons, where I take a look at some of my favorite video games based on licenses from cartoons you could watch on Saturday morning back in the day. And today we have Tiny Toon Adventures Buster Bust Loose. I loved Tiny Toon Adventures when it came out. It was basically just Looney Tunes, but for children, even though Looney Tunes is kind of already for kids. But it was a totally fun show, and the game to go along with it was great. This is made by Konami, a company, at least in this era, that I feel was way more used to using the beat-em-up or running-gun genres for games, but what they did here is spectacular. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the Patreon, we got a link down below as well. But this game is just a fun, colorful 2D platformer that I always enjoy playing, and in some weird aspects I'll show you shortly, has a lot of Castlevania vibes to it as well, because of course it was made by Konami. But Tiny Toon Adventures was a great cartoon filled with colorful fun, and this game replicates that to a T. That now that we've beaten the security guard, we have the key to move on to each individual area. Now this game is not hard, except for the boss fights. It's very easy to traverse the world and see what's going on and really have a fun time, but the mechanics of some of the boss fights can be a little bit annoying. Like Dizzy Devil here, you need to hit cheeseburgers and other food into his mouth, but he needs to be lined up perfectly. If he doesn't eat quickly enough, he's going to turn into that tornado and he's going to hit you. So you definitely need to be a lot better at the boss fights than you do need to be at the rest of the game. But I love the theming and genres in this game. We go from the school setting, Tiny Toon, Acme Academy, over to a western sort of feel. Each stage feels individual and unique, and sometimes you just need to do stuff like skip rope. I guess that's a game mechanic for sure. It's not a long game either. You can beat this from start to finish in like 30 minutes, because I did exactly that for this capture, but it is a fun 30 minutes. It doesn't overstay its welcome. If you bought this game new for full price, you might think you got cheated, but in the modern area, I'm playing this on the Mr. FPGA Super Nintendo core. You're not paying a lot of money for the cart, therefore you're not really worried about the length, but I do own a cart as well, so I don't really care about the price either way. But you've caught up to Montana Max here, a villain that basically just disappeared from the entire Looney Tunes canon as far as I can tell. But when I said that this definitely had some Castlevania vibes to it, this next stage in the Haunted Castle feels like the cartoon version of the Castlevania franchise. And like I said, that's not at all surprising, because this game was made by a lot of the same team that worked on those games as well. But it's just such a fun 2D platformer. I love all these different mechanics, being able to jump up using that cantilever system to launch your character into the sky. It's just a good time, and the dash mechanic is a big part of the game as well, because you have a very simple backflip attack that rarely if ever hits, but you can dash directly into pretty much every enemy and it's going to kill them in one shot. But you will see at the top left hand corner of the screen, you do have a dash meter. It is not unlimited use, so you do need to manage that, not only for attacking, but for a lot of the traversal of the game itself. But this here, with the stained glass of all the different characters in the game, just has such an amazing Castlevania feel. You even have a vampire that turns into a vat. I'm not saying this is a Castlevania game, and I'm not saying that it's Dracula, but I think this might be a hidden Castlevania game, and that very well might be Dracula. But outside of those kind of Castlevania jokes, the world traversal is just so fun. Each stage gives you a new way to play, and with these swinging mallets or croquet hammers, whatever they may be, you really need to worry about timing everything up, because if you get crushed by one, you're gonna die. If you fall off one, you're gonna die. Being patient and understanding what's happening around you as those stained glass fade in and out and change is just so much fun. But the soundtrack, straight fire. Enjoy it. Each stick has its own unique music genre that marries perfectly what's going on. You just heard the Western theme, a kind of Castlevania vibe, and the main theme song to the show when you have cutscenes. But there's also an entire stage where you need to play football. Buster here needs to score a touchdown or else you can't go on to the next stage. You have two options. You can run the ball or you can pass the ball. Basic football rules. It's a weird addition to the game, but it totally works. Passing can be difficult because you need to be right on that X to catch it. But once you learn the pacing and cadence of the football section, when you need to jump and when you need to run forward, it is just so much fun. It only happens for like a minute or two till you get that touchdown. But when you're on a long run like this and you score that touchdown to get out of this level, it's just a ton of fun. You get basically these mini games in between levels, and this isn't a mini game, it's just a level, but it kind of has that same vibe to it. But after you beat each stage, you get to roll basically a wheel to see what mini game you're going to be playing next, and you get lives from each one of them. They range from basic puzzle games to random choice to kind of more like a Cosmic Smash on Dreamcast amalgam a long time before that would appear. The entire point of this minigame is hit the ball against the wall 15 times and you get a free life. It's not the hardest thing in the world, but once you get off that trajectory, you can miss it. And if you hit certain things in the level, that ball will either speed up or slow down. As a kid, I absolutely love these. As an adult, I kind of want to just get past them, but you hit the Roadrunner there, or Baby Roadrunner as it were, and you get to get a life. But here, trying to get these lines to the apples, I never understand how to control it, and I basically lose immediately. And the most boring minigame, which I just basically click through as quickly as possible, is you need to try to pick the heavier character against the CPU opponent. Sure, you get some free lives, but honestly the game's not that hard. You don't need that many anyway. But moving on to the later stages of the game, this space theming with these robot ducks running around, it just makes you smile. It's so much fun to play this game, and I can't get over how colorful and how great the sprites really look. It is just Tiny Toon Adventures come to life, but be careful with that dash because you can just 100% run yourself straight into a ravine and end up completely dead. But like I said, the soundtrack for this game is unique and different in every area, so go ahead and listen to the space theme for like 30 seconds and I'll come back and sing this game's praises more. Enjoy! It's just an awesome soundtrack that perfectly matches Tiny Toon Adventures, and this is just a really fun game. But like I said, don't expect to be playing it that long. It is a very short game, and I'm sure if you paid the money back in the day and beat it in a sitting, you might be really upset with it, and the review scores definitely struck it for being not the longest game in the world. But if we take that component out, it is an awesome 2D action side-scroller on the Super Nintendo based upon an amazing cartoon franchise. And if you've never watched Tiny Toon Adventures before, you don't need to watch it to enjoy the game. This is as good as any other really good 2D platformer on the Super Nintendo that you can check out. And I love this area here where you have that ship shooting the laser beam in the distance using mode 7, and you need to stand behind these shields and use that dashing mechanic to get around them. But like I said, it's an awesome game that I think is better than the internet would lead you to believe. Just don't get pinched by the side of the screen on that ladder or you will die. But I'm pretty sure this is going to be the last episode of Saturday Morning Cartoons. Maybe I've changed the schedule, but if this is it, and I'm going to try to make sure it is, I hope you enjoyed this series. Leave me a comment down below, tell me what you think, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.